Hi everybody, my name is Jim. I'm the owner of Sprague Woodturning and welcome to my channel. So I did a couple of roughing marathon videos and I made the comments in the past that I was having a real tough time. I'm fairly decent at sharpening, but the coring rig cutters that go on the one-way system, I just really don't care for them. One-way makes great products, but I really don't like their cutters. And this is the cutter that goes on the cutting rig. And as you can see, it's got a really weird point that you have to try and sharpen. And you know, for the money they cost, I'm just not real happy with the way that they perform. I'm going to be honest with you. And you know, these cutters themselves, I've got this written down so I wouldn't forget. So this cutter here is high-speed steel one, and it's, you know, it's $32.95, so 33 bucks Canadian. That's Canadian. And of course, the carbide one is $50. And I find that after 2 or 3 cores, you've got to resharpen this thing, and they just don't seem to last very long. Anyway, I made the comment here that I wasn't happy with this, and sure enough, a couple of subscribers piped up and said, well, you know, Hunter Tool Systems actually make a replacement cutter for this. So I said, great. So I called Mike Hunter, who's the owner of Hunter Tool Systems, and found out that the Canadian distributor is Ken Rude. He's in Calgary. And after talking to Ken, and both of these guys were great to talk to on the phone, I bought this. I gotta do this or else the camera's not gonna pick it up. I'll try to do some close-ups on the lathe. Anyway, this is the Korpro cartridge, and this cartridge itself is a one-time buy, and I'll warn you right now, they're not cheap. So this cartridge is 190 US, and here in Canada it's 250 Canadian. So I mean, this is a substantial investment, but it does have replacement cutters. And they send along a nice little tool to remove them as well, a little Torx removal tool. And you can replace these cutters. Now these cutters, let me see, yeah, they're $29 US and $38 Canadian. The big difference with these, and we're going to put these to the test. I'm not going to endorse these products until we put them to the test. I've got 15 butternut and hickory bowl blanks to core out, and we're going to put this to the test. And the claims are pretty big on this, that you know, you should be able to easily do a couple hundred bowls on one cutter. Now you can't sharpen these. You can turn them. They'll flip around, but you know, really, the stuff that I've read online, you should be able to get 300 cuts out of this, which is a ton. If you had to do that with the one-way cutter, I don't know how many one-way cutters you would actually buy. So you know what? Let's stop talking about this. Let's get to the lathe and do some cord, and let's see actually how this thing performs. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And of course, anytime you give my videos thumbs up, it certainly helps with the analytics. All right, so let's get set up, get the coring set up, and get to work here. All right, so before we start, I should also mention that these cutters are just slightly wider than the original cutters from one-way manufacturing. So let's do this. Speed is 625. Wow. say this, that that carbide cutter is really sharp. I mean, it's just effortless. Let's hope it stays that way. Of course, as you go in, you're into end grain, so it's a lot harder to cut. So far, I'm not really, well actually, see this thing move. Yeah, wasn't much holding it anyway. I mean, very clean cut compared to the other ones, that's for sure. Let's set up the second one here. Okay, I've got everything switched around to our number 3 knife set. And we're gonna, that shows you how sharp that cutter is. Just rotating it by hand is cutting that wood. So that's awesome. Anyway, let's see how this one works. Look at those. And I've only got the one carrier right now, so it's a bit of a pain. I have to switch these from my number 2 knife set to my number 3 knife set. There, I've raised the rig itself up just a little bit, and hopefully that will solve our issue. Keep getting shavings jammed down inside it. It's almost like it's too sharp. It's leaving some stuff behind, and then the cutter's having a hard time going in and hitting the wood. Yeah, just raising that up a little bit really helped. So, observations. This is the amount of strain that it takes to bring this in to use this cutter is absolutely nowhere near as hard as the one-way one is. So, you know, I'm going to keep going on this, and like I said, I'll bring in the last bowl, and we'll finish this up and do a little talk about this. But so far, I mean, I'm pretty impressed so far. So this is our 26th cut. I have not rotated the cutter, and it is performing outstandingly. So I'll zoom you right in so you can watch it. I mean, it's still, after all those cuts, I mean, it's still, even by hand, making shavings. So, you know, I'm pretty impressed. Let's get through this, and then we'll have a chat at the end. Still running at 625. One thing that I have noticed, it's really, really important to clean, and I mean the one-way cutter is the same way, but to clear the shavings out, it's so sharp that it creates shavings that get over the edge, and then it won't cut. And the other thing too is I've found, if I don't put the support all the way into where you know, it's stopped, where if I leave a little bit of a gap, then that allows some of the shavings to go through, because what happens is the shavings will bind up against the very bottom of the cutter here, and then you can't get anything. So, you know, a tool such as this, you reach in and pull those shavings out, or the air hose is another way that I've been doing it. Regardless, I mean, I'd sooner have something that's sharper than duller. And if you are looking at a production thing, getting another carrier, I believe, or cutter support, is certainly would be to your benefit. It's a bit of a pain to have to take this one off and move it over on my number 3 knife every time I use it. So, you know, I'll probably be getting another one of these in the future. And that way it's just, it's faster. Time is money. I should also mention that this piece of butternut It's you know, it's got some crotch grain in it that you can see right here. And there's a big knot on the outside, so you know it's not a very nice piece of wood for our last cut to be on. If you're still getting shavings after 26 cuts and they're like this, that's actually pretty darn good. There you go. Wow. Well, that's it for the video. You know, I got to be honest with you. Going into this, I'm always skeptical when manufacturers claim that my product will do this and my product will do that. And you know what? After talking to Mike Hunter and talking to Ken Root on the phone, I felt pretty confident that this was going to work, and it did. This thing worked flawlessly. So, you know, there's 27 cuts in total, and if I was using the one-way manufacturing cutter, I would probably have to sharpen that at least 8 times, 10 times. So if you think about that, how many times you've got to take that off and go over to the grinder and try and get a profile on it. And that tip is only so long. You can only sharpen it for so long, and then that's it. You need another cutter. So, you know, it's got a steep price, you know, $250 Canadian for the carrier and the cutter for the Hunter Korpro cartridge. There we are. And $190 US. Anyway, I will leave all the links in the description down below for US customers and Canadian customers where they can get this. You know, I'm not being paid by these guys. I just was really looking for an alternative to what I was using, and I think I found it. Well, I don't think I found it. I did find it. I will definitely be sticking with this. I don't know how many more cuts that cutter's got in it before I have to rotate it, but if I had to guess, I mean, at 27, it's still going strong. I would think maybe 100 cuts before it maybe would have to flip. So you think about it, you can get 200 cuts out of one cutter, you know, for what is it, $29 US or $38 in Canada. You know, you'll buy a ton of the old one-way cutters in order to do that. So just think about that. Think about it that way. And of course, once you've got the carrier, then you're just buying cutters. Anyway, if you have a coring system, if you have a one-way coring system, I highly recommend getting this. And the only thing I ask is that if you buy one, make sure you tell them I sent you there. That's it. Anyway, that's it for the video. I got a resin project coming up on Friday, so come on back for that. And I guess that's it. Take care, stay safe, don't forget that bell, and we'll see you on Friday.